All right, friends, so we are going to do page 76 and 77 together here. And I think some of these, if you want to give it a try on your own before I show the answer, that's fine. Some of these you probably could do on your own, but I just want to go through them together. So we have our two maps up here, or maps. We have our two globes up here that have a little bit of information that's going to help us as we try to answer these questions. So the first one is, what is the line drawn around the middle of the globe? And we should be familiar with this one, but the answer is right here, and that is the equator. That's our first one. And it says the equator divides the earth into the northern hemisphere and the blank hemisphere. And for that one, you're probably shouting it out or you already wrote it down. It should be the southern hemisphere. Very good. Now this one, you might not have figured out. It wants to know, what does Hemi mean? And this, if we take a look, think about, this is a sphere. If we look at this word hemisphere, we see Hemi right here and we see sphere right here. So if this is a sphere and this marks the Hemi, think about top and bottom. It kind of divides it in half. So Hemi means half. Very good. The next one says, on the left globe, the continent divided by the equator. So if we look, this is the one on the left right here. Wants to know which continent is divided by the equator right here. And so it would be South America. Oops, there we go. North America is located in the blank hemisphere. So it wants to know, is North America in the northern or the southern? And we should have, see if I can get my paper up here. We should have it northern. I'm going to slide my paper up so we can keep going through the bottom half. The imaginary line that divides the earth into the eastern and western hemispheres. So we have to look right over here. So our answer is right here. And we talked about this in class when we looked at our map that we have on the bulletin board. The answer is the prime meridian. So the prime meridian is what we call, it's similar to the equator, where the equator does east and west this way to divide the northern and southern hemisphere. This one goes the other two directions to divide our eastern and western hemispheres. All right, our next question. In what directions does the prime meridian run on the globe? So I kind of just answered that one for you. So our prime meridian's running up and down, so that is going north and south. Then our next question says, Asia is located in the blank hemisphere. So if we look up here, we have Asia over here, and this side is the east, so it would be the eastern hemisphere. The next one says, compare all the globes on this page. North America is located in the blank hemisphere and the blank hemisphere. So we need to decide, the first one we need to decide is North America in the northern or southern. That's the first one it wants to know. And we know from looking here or looking here that North America, northern or southern, it's in the northern hemisphere. And let's see if I can do that without showing you the answer. And then for eastern or western, here's your picture here. And you have to kind of think what they did is they took this globe and they kind of turned it for you. So everything that's on the side over here is now on the front. So western hemisphere, we see North America, so we know it's in the northern and can she take it off? She can, and the western. All right, we're gonna look now at the next page at 77. It says, label the globes, then circle the name of the hemisphere where you live. So there's just a few things. This is just a little bit tricky, and so this is especially the part that I wanted us to do together. So for this one, we got to just kind of figure out what they're pointing to. So for the top here on number 11, this line is pointing right here to this line that divides the globe. So it's looking for the one that's running north and south. So you should be saying to yourself, oh, it's not the equator, it's the other one, which is kind of hard to remember sometimes, but it is the prime meridian. Very good. And then this section up here, now we're looking at our globe cut in half, top and bottom. And so the top one is the northern hemisphere. This one over here, we have our two sides, so think east and west, and this line pointing to this side would be our western hemisphere. We're going to keep our picture in there and we can do the ones on the bottom. So now this one was the northern, so that means this one is the, very good, southern. And then over here, looking, this side was our western, which means this side is our eastern. And then the last one wants to know what this line is that's running east and west across our globe. And we know we live right near it. That is our equator. Very good. And the last thing it wanted us to do in our directions, it says circle the names of the hemispheres where you live. So if we remember, we can't see it on the way that this globe is positioned. But looking back at our other paper, we live in the northern hemisphere and in the western hemisphere. So I hope you did a great job on those. When you finish that, you are going to work on page 78. And the directions here are pretty simple. It just says draw a line from each missionary to the country where he served. So you can read about these 3 missionaries that did some really incredible things and draw a line just from their picture to wherever they served on the map.